is getting in the way of charities fulfilling.
Right, another long boring video.
Benefit.
This time I expect to be able to demonstrate that the Land Rover Discovery Sport I've been given as a courtesy car, whilst the faulty radio in my Land Rover approved Range Rover is looked into yet again.
Of the changing world in which we live,
suffers no performance issues on my commute to work, whereas it's impossible
of institutions and people in
the Range
authority,
Rover.
the way they feel let down by people in positions of authority. And if you are a charity on our register, you are in a position of authority. You have expectations placed upon you that you need to meet. And what I'm saying is that all charities, not just the big ones, all charities have got to recognise that they've got to demonstrate charitable behaviour and charitable attitude.
I bought the Range Rover from Rybrook Landrover and straight away realised the radio was faulty, made them aware of it. There are a number of other issues with it as well. The boot wouldn't close, lighter socket didn't work, there was some damage to the front deflector, so the car went back to them. I explained I didn't want the car back unless the radio was sorted. They assured me it was. Sent it back, it wasn't. There was then a sort of ongoing communication where I talked to them about it, and progressively they went into a state of denial and said actually the radio performance was a characteristic of the vehicle and there was no fault, obviously, so that they wouldn't allow me to reject the vehicle and cancel the contract under distance selling rules. I took it to Harwood's, who tested the radio, identified a problem, fitted a DAB fitted some kind of filter and upgraded the DAB module to no effect. It's now back with them, and this time they think they found the fallen open circuit, the spoiler, and I guess the spoiler's kind of an integral part of the radio. Rybrook's still denying there's an issue, while still engaging with Harwood's. Not that I asked them to, so I don't quite know what their position is. But anyway, we're entering the village of South Warnborough now, where the Range Rover was completely unable to get a signal.
And said you didn't have the right experience, you were a conservative there. I think you're a crossbencher, aren't you? But in other words, you're a political appointment, you don't have the right experience, you're not the right person, and the committee, of course, didn't sign off on you as a person. Does that damage your start, as it were, at the Charity Commission? Because frankly speaking, you do not have on your side quite a few of the people you need to have.
It's my job to represent the public interest to charities,
now,
not to represent
the Range Rover would cut out and go completely silent at this stage. Something that Rybrook said was a characteristic of the vehicle and acceptable.
I'm not sure that...
Funnily enough, the Discovery seems to be performing perfectly in line with every other car I've done this journey in.
What we are here to do, I've done that this week. I've set out an ambition which I want to share with the charities that we regulate, but I also want to share with them the responsibility for meeting the public's expectations. If we work together, we can collectively deliver more benefit to the public, and charities should see that it is in their interest to also pursue the public interest.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The time is now 16 minutes to 9.
It's the Plaid Cymru annual conference today with a new leader, and it seems a new enthusiasm for full independence for Wales. That new leader is Adam Price. And
I'm pretty confident
that good morning, Justin.
And
I demonstrate that this vehicle works perfectly.
Notional
I'll keep the video going because, again,
you want to press for soon.
the Range Rover was
absolutely
totally incapable of maintaining reception on this drive between Odium and Alton.
And I've seen the economic devastation that has been wrought upon us by Westminster governments of both main political parties, really.
The amount of time I've wasted on this subject and the amount of time I've been without the vehicle amounts to almost a month since I bought the car.
At the income league table, I mean, we're the poorest nation in the UK, we're among the poorest in Western Europe. But the key thing is, Justin, there's nothing inevitable about that. We are not somehow, genetically predetermined in Wales to poverty. We have potential, but it's untapped. And the truth is that the only way that we can realise that potential is to own our own problems, own our own opportunities, and chart for us a better course in the future.
And own your own debt. You'll be aware of this Cardiff University study, won't you, that suggested that the gap between what you spend and what you get in revenues in Wales is huge, 14.7 billion. How do you address that?
But that's a function of the political reality that we've had to grow up in, isn't it? Because that's because of economic mismanagement by successive Westminster governments. I'd invert the logic of your question. You know, we're not too poor to be independent. We're poor because we're not. I mean, that's the truth. If you look,
so what would change that? To change that situation, if it were well managed, what would you change?
Well, I'll tell you something that I would do. I'd invest in the single most important resource that we have, the skill and talent of our own people. As an economist, because we call that human capital, that's the single most important variable that actually decides whether you're going to be an economic success or a failure. What have we been doing over the last 20 years? We've been under-investing. So schools, colleges and universities in Wales are underfunded compared to...
I'll keep this going for the sake of completeness, but it's pretty obvious that this vehicle, along with all the others, apart from the 40 Range Rover, is performing perfectly.
That gap, if you're doing it on your own as an independent nation, where does it come from?
That's illogical. What you do, as any country does, you invest in your future. You put down that down payment on the future, and that begins to deliver a different economic trajectory. And what you do then is, instead of the vicious circle that we've had over so many years, Justin, you begin to create a virtuous circle where actually a rising economic curve delivers better economic outcomes, and we can begin to create the kind of path towards the successful future that I think we can. So, you know, we've set out some tax proposals which actually would show how we could, for example, close that funding gap that I've referred to. You know, people ask, why is it that Wales is at the bottom of the economic league table? It's not because of our lack of potential as a people, it's because of the lack of ambition. The poverty of ambition of our political leaders have led to the poverty of our people. We need to turn that on its head.
Adam Price, leader of Blackcomb. Thank you.
12 minutes to 9. Hilary Inoyomo Marcos left prison in 2014, and unlike so many ex-offenders, he built a successful new life for himself, volunteering, making radio programs, one of them shortlisted this year for a national award. He grew up in this country, has a British wife, 2 young British children. But he was born in Nigeria, and he doesn't have British citizenship. The Home Office wants to deport him. He's just lost the latest round of his legal battle and could be detained, put on a plane at any time. Sancho reports.
It was 18 months ago that I stepped through those doors here at Brixton Prison, after 15 months without my liberty. My name's Hilary, and I was determined I was never going back inside.
Hilary Inoyomo Marcos, presenting a Radio 4 programme 2 years ago. He still volunteers for prison radio and gives talks about his time inside.
When I left prison, I continued to volunteer my time as much as possible, because I had now a new calling, as it were, a new passion to really ensure that the message of once you become an ex-offender, you know, all is not lost. As long as you've changed and almost repented in addressing your offending behaviour. So I became a brand ambassador almost for the Ministry of Justice, for National Prison Radio.
He may be a brand ambassador for one government department, but another is trying to send him back to the country he barely knows. Hilary left Nigeria at the age of 10 and had indefinite leave to remain in Britain. In 2013, newly married, he was convicted of VAT fraud. After he'd served just over a year in prison, he was told he had lost the right to stay and would be deported. That has been the usual procedure for foreign nationals for some years now. Hilary thinks he should be an exception. His parents and siblings have British nationality, he has a British wife and 2 British children.
Crime's a crime, and granted. However, I just wished that such swift action to deport me would have been pursued so vigorously without first taking into consideration, you know, the fundamental facts of my case, you know, and I just wish a lot more humane approach was taken. It was good. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Hillary cares for both children, aged 4 and 1, while his wife Stacey goes out to work. Fighting the deportation without legal aid has been tough. This year, applying for judicial review, medical reports said Stacey had become extremely depressed and thought of killing herself.
Right, we've made it to Alton. Radiator's performed faultlessly. I think we can finish this video.